Oh man, 2016 was a crazy year. There was an excruciatingly painful presidential election. There was a lot of celebrity deaths, and most importantly, Harambe died. Why am I talking about 2016 in this video? Well, We Are Who We Are takes place in 2016. The specific episode addresses the ramifications of the 2016 elections. But I'm not going to get far ahead of myself, so let's just begin the video. Oh yeah, by the way, spoilers ahead. If you haven't seen the show, I highly recommend it.
And by the way, this was right after September 11th. This was September 18th. And right after, sort of an amazing thing, right after a couple of good paragraphs, it's talking about northern New Jersey, draws the prober's eye, written by a nice reporter. Now the poor guy, you got to see this guy. Oh, I don't know what I said. I don't remember. He's going like, I don't remember. Oh, maybe that's what I said. This was 14 years ago. They didn't do a retraction.
2020 was a crazy year. A pandemic started to ravage the world, a presidential election happened, and people were innocently killed by the hands of the police. We Are Who We Are came out during the summer of 2020. Cinemas across the world were closed. Restaurants and summer vacations were ruined. Everything was quiet for the majority of the year. I was on track to graduate college. Most of my friends split from the ramifications of the pandemic. I was in a tough spot mentally. Then comes this little mini-series, a series that changed my life in so many ways and continued my love for Luca Guadagnino, a talented and honest filmmaker who wanted to tell his story about our current generation. A generation that is stuck with the deaths of the old generation. A generation that is stuck with the gender identity, sexuality, and freedom of expression. We Are Who We Are tackled all that and more. I love this little show of mine. There's more of it that I can explain through the expression of love and admiration for the craft. Let's begin. Our summer vacation was stolen. Our summer was stolen. 2020 was a hell for some of us. We were trapped in our homes, fearful of a virus that could have killed us, but also fearful for the connections that we lost throughout isolation. It was a tough time for us, many people, including me. My friendship started to fade once the pandemic started. It was already turbulent through beefs and self-doubts with other people that I thought I loved. When the show came out, something hit me like a hurricane. Every single character in the show was going through something. Something that seemed small, but in reality was huge for the big eye. Let's take into account the characters. From the jump, you have this kid who's slightly neurotic and is thrown into this new situation. Instead of consulting with his parents, he decides to run off to an American military base in Italy. From the first episode, you get to understand what Fraser feels and how he reacts to certain situations. It was eye-opening to see him vibe alone without any pressure from anyone around him. Well, until later on in the series, but even with setting up with one character, I have to explain my thought process with this part of the video.
You're so sensitive.
What is this place? Why'd you bring me here?
Some of the most violent battles in history took place in here. Young men were dying like flies into those trenches, and it would go on for days on end. Sacrarium.
What is Sacraria?
One of the biggest clubs 27 on Earth. There's about 50,000 dead men in there, and over 30,000 are militi ignoti. Shout for the green things.
Being isolated and alone from the face of the earth in 2020 was truly painful to experience. This little series relieved my stress and also gave me a vacation that was certainly needed. Especially when midterms came around, my panic attacks started to flare up. Granted, I've never been to Italy. I've always wanted to go to Italy, but Luca's film Call Me By Your Name really fascinated me to such a level where it took me to like a magical and meditative place to stay. The series itself continues Luca's vision of Italy, even going further with coexisting with American life with Italian life. The teenagers and adults are already accustomed to the life that they're forced to be lived in. An American military base that is stationed in Italy with the sole purpose of fighting for a war that was already a part of a big lie, to me, is also a part of this show. What I'm trying to say is that the Afghan and Iran war was a lie. Full stop. Even going further, this whole series operates like a summery vacation that slowly never ends. But you don't want it to end because it's very meditative in its presentation. Hence why I think this show perfectly captures a form of escapism that I'll never get back after my first watch of the show.
We can now project the winner of the presidential race. CNN projects Donald Trump wins the presidency. The business tycoon and TV personality capping his improbable political journey with an astounding upset victory. Donald J. Trump will become the 45th president of the United States, defeating Hillary Clinton in a campaign
Now, for part 2, I want to talk about the politics and the idea of escaping conformity in the show. So this is where I talk about how the series portrays politics in the aftermath of the 2016 presidential election. In episode 6, there's an uncertainty creeping in the background. Multiple characters in the past episodes are established as part of the LGBTQ community. Others are struggling with their sexualities and gender identities. Caitlyn on their own is trying to figure out their gender identity. Their conservative father has anger issues and is trying to understand what is going on with Caitlyn. They embark on a small journey by going hunting together. It seems like they're slightly bonding, but there's something off about it.
Was it him? Did he call you?
Who? Fraser?
Yes.
No.
Okay. I don't need to confiscate your phone, do I?
No.
What do you like about that boy?
I don't know. He understands me.
How can a fashion victim from New York understand you?
He only seems like that. He's not actually that. Or he's not only that.
As that's going on, Fraser is stuck in the middle of a turbulent situation. He's not getting along with his parents, he might be in love with Caitlyn, and he's also struggling to figure out his own sexuality. In past episodes, he broke up with someone who has been a part of his small world. He can't really get the words out until he meets one of the Italian majors on base. Jonathan, in fact. They embark on a small little adventure.
This day we're spending together.
Meeting you and then seeing you at the theater and being able to know you.
There she is. Marta, meet Fraser.
Hi.
Fraser, meet my friend.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. Brilliant. Brilliant.
In the background, Donald Trump is elected president. His voice and face goes in and out of the frame throughout the episode. The characters are reacting to the news of his victory. Some are elated of the change, others are horrified.
Yes?
In the hours since Trump claimed victory, we've learned the outcome came as a shock even to the Trump campaign himself.
Where?
Conceding the race today.
How many?
A painful loss in the electoral vote, even as she holds a nail at Trump and how his victory is impacting the country here in Atlanta.
Okay. Yeah, I'm coming right over.
Sorry to keep you waiting. Complicated business. Complicated.
It's only until the end of the episode is where Fraser and Caitlyn seem to have a grasp of the situation. Fraser doesn't know what's coming next in terms of latching on to Jonathan, and Caitlyn is trying to understand their father's position on their gender dysphoria. The final image of Donald Trump's victory speech washes the end of the episode. There's an uncertainty of what we are and who we are. That isn't the title of the show. It's all about exploring the depths of human nature. Trump's bombastic nature helped him scapegoat through life. All the main characters in the show are reacting to Trump's victory with a sign of direction in which they want to take in life. This episode, in many ways, is a turning point of the series. People who have seen the show can argue about episode 4 being the turning point of the series. The drunk party sequence in that episode perfectly encapsulates the freedom of the characters. All of them are going through something. But too shall pass. At least that's what people say. The idea of conformity is absolutely bullshit. Sure, we can conform to societal norms in regards to becoming a good person or being respectful to others, but when it comes to gender identity or sexuality or political stances, that's fair game. You can express any of that through any means necessary. It's only when it starts to hurt people around you. That's when you have to question yourself.
Non vi sei nessun dio, Danny. Da nessuna parte.
Chi vuole una botta?
I do.
You got any care? When I beat you guys and Craig with Valentina, I was super happy. I think that with you, I get out of this. Luca de merda.
Shittle town.
Yeah, shit. But now I see that there is nothing. Nothing. Non so niente da nessuna parte. Bastardi.
Take, for example, Kid Cudi's character, Richard. Richard is a lieutenant who's implied to be conservative and has a harsh stance on preserving the norms of the military. He's the stereotypical conservative father. He's tough, he cares about his family, and conforms to the state of the nuclear family. He's against the idea of bending rules regarding gender and sexuality. Later in the series, his masculinity starts to fall apart when his friend dies from an IED explosion. Richard can't keep his composure, and he starts ranting and starts blaming everyone about the death. Drunk out of his mind, everyone just takes in the rant and leaves him alone. Even with all of his devices, he can't seem to wrap up around his head about being vulnerable to others. It's all displayed through aggression and fighting. Richard's life is mostly fathers who have trouble with their ever-changing world. I was completely taken away by Cudi's performance in this. This is certainly his best role ever.
Don't we have any music we can dance to? Ma'am!
Come on, man.
Alvaro was a jive dancer. I trained him. Not all that well, as you know. But you made a decision. Music! Music!
All right, Rich, man. Oh, whoa. Calm down.
Come on!
Calm down right now.
They were kids!
Come on.
Let's dance for the kids! What?
Hey, calm down.
What?
Hey, come on, man.
Huh?
Hey,
And then,
So where am I going with this? I think I can say that the series does a great job portraying the breaking point of conformity. The new coming president changed people's lives on that harsh day. So for this final part, I want to talk about the music in this show. Luca is no stranger to picking out music for his visual landscapes. Call Me By Your Name had a bunch of iconic needle drops, from Sufjan Stevens to heavy Italian disco jams. That film had so many bops. It pretty much expands Luca's knowledge with pop music and his love for Italian hits. The first episode has some good needle drops. Action Bronson is played in the background. As well as Kanye.
In that magic hour, I seen good Christians make rash decisions. Oh, she do it. What happened to religion? Oh, she knows it.
Frazier uses hip-hop to free himself from the entrapment of the military base. Chance the Rapper is also heavily used, as well as to represent 2016 as a whole.
Don't forget the happy thoughts. All you need is happy thoughts. The past tense past bedtime. Way back then when everything we read was real and everything we said rhymed. Wide-eyed kids being kids, why did you stop?
Frazier's taste in music is a reflection of my own personal tastes, let alone it's reflective of 2016. I was listening to Chance, Kanye, and Action Bronson as I too was trying to navigate through my relationships with other people. What's beautifully striking about this series is how the music is portrayed as a guiding point for all the characters. Devontae Hines of Blood Orange fame is scoring the series, with also an appearance from himself towards the end of the series. His introduction into the show is told through Frazier and Caitlin's love for Blood Orange, and the song Time Will Tell. The lyrics of the song are strikingly relatable to the struggles of our main characters.
Time if you can figure this, work it out. No one's waiting for you anyway. Don't be stressed now, even if it's something that you had your eye on, it is what it is.
Time will tell if you can figure this and work it out. Throughout the series, we are trying to see if the main characters will figure out their ways. They are in bond with each other and eventually they figure out themselves. But in the background, that particular Blood Orange song ties them together. A major plot in the show is them trying to find their way through the Blood Orange concert. Escaping from their small lives, they go to the concert, only to find themselves stuck with one thing on their minds. Do they truly love each other? A dream sequence of them choreographing a shot-by-shot remake of the Time Will Tell music video seems to help with the claim between the love for each other. Even with all the trouble with getting into the concert, Frasier meets a kid named Luca out of curiosity, and then they kiss. Both of them are trying to figure out about themselves. After that kiss, Frasier makes up his mind in terms of understanding his intertwined love for Caitlin, and then he kisses them on the Italian steps at the end. It both feels cathartic and partially has a closure. Caitlin, by the end of the episode, is receptive to their gender identity. They meet a bartender at the concert. They get into a little fling, although the bartender is much older than Caitlin. And it ends with Caitlin experiencing the concert from afar. Music seems to be the bond between Caitlin, Frasier, and the audience in mind.
Teach yourself about your brother, 'cause there's no one else but you. You are special in your own way. You are special in your own way.
Certainly, it's felt throughout the series. I can go back to the party sequence in episode 4 where everyone is faded and drunk out of their minds. They're listening to Frank Ocean's Nikes. A song that deals with being true to yourself and taking part of the hedonistic lifestyle. Being free and letting go. Frank Ocean, like many other current artists, is part of our current generation's way of thinking. I can go on about how this series does a great job with using music as a guiding point to the characters. But that's just scratching the surface. So here's the finale. We Are Who We Are is something that I've never seen before on television. Its freedom of expression and understanding of the current generation seems valuable to my current life. Luca is a fucking genius, and I can't stress this enough to why I love this show. All I can say is that everything is okay, and I know who I am.